What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series where I focus on a specific composer and give you guys my top 10 favorite scores from said composer. Done such composers in the past, such as Carter Burwell, Alexander Desplat, Hans Zimmer, and many more. You guys can check those out in my composer playlist down below. But guys, you clicked on this video, so you know it. This time around, I'm giving you guys my top 10 favorite Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross film scores. Now, keep in mind, they work together, so that's why I'm not going to include any that they might have gone solo on, which I don't think there really is any, but in the future, if they do, this will only include the ones that, as of the filming of this video, which is June 28th of 2025, that they've done together. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be a subjective video. It is not the end-all, be-all, and it's not objective. Film as an art form is subjective, meaning that your list is going to be different from mine, and that's what's great about film as an art form. So I'm looking forward to seeing what yours is going to be in the comment section down below. But guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So they haven't done too many. That's why there's no honorable mentions. My number 10, we have Mank. Mank is a rock-solid movie, and I think that the score really fits the ambience of the 1940s that, David Fincher was clearly going for. And yeah, I like the score quite a bit. It's not really one that I listen to a lot per se, but when I do enjoy the mood that it sets out for, and I do think Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did a good job with it, and that's why ultimately it's my number 10. Next up, my number 9, we have Patriots Day. So Patriots Day, good movie. I like this one quite a bit, but I think what really elevates it is the fact that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score is so good at setting the mood, the tone, and honestly just the imagery on display. It's a really, really good score from them. It's very subtle early on, but as the film gets more and more intense, so too does the score. So it's really good. I don't think it gets talked about too much, unfortunately, but it's a really good score. It's worth a listen, and yeah, that's why I have it as my number 9. Next up, my number 8, this is one that I don't think will ever get on physical media, unfortunately, which is why I'm not going to have a visual presentation for you guys, but my number 8 is The Killer. So The Killer, what can I say about this? It's David Fincher doing a really, really good job directing, and I'm just going to say this up front. This will not be the last time you hear the name David Fincher in this video, because David Fincher often works with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, but The Killer's a really good score. It's very ambient. I think that specifically the opening scene really sets the tone for what you're about to experience, and it's so good to listen to. So I've listened to the score several times on its own, but as much as I've listened to it on its own, it works even better in the film itself, and yeah, that's why I have it as my number 8. Next up, my number 7, we have Queer. So Queer, really, really good film. But the score, it's so gorgeous, man. It's very emotional as well. I mean, it's one of those scores that every time I listen to it, I immediately think of the imagery on display in this film. And I think that, every time I've seen this film, which is now, I believe, 3 times, I just can't help but get choked up with the score, specifically towards the end. It's a really, really good score. It's a shame that it didn't get nominated at the Oscars last year, but it is what it is. The film itself, really, really good. But again, this is one of those scores that you got to listen to at least once because it's really, really good. And yeah, that's why it was my number 7. Next up, my number 6, we have a film that I've been meaning to pick up on 4K. My number 6 is Bones and All. Bones and All, really, really good film. But the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, my goodness. It's very creepy. It's very moody. But more importantly, it's so dark. Like, you can't help but listen to the score and say, wow, I feel like I'm listening to something that I shouldn't be because of just how dark and ominous it feels. There are some levity, I would say, towards the middle of the tracks, but ultimately, it is a very dark score. But I think it works really well, especially since if you don't know what the film's about, the subject matter is quite dark, so it's very fitting. But yeah, Bones and All, the score, really, really good. That's why I have it as my number 6. All right, now we get to nitty-gritty. Top 5, guys. So my number 5, this is a score that it took me a little bit to fully appreciate, but my number 5, we have Waves. So Waves is a film that if you look at my review on YouTube, I'm pretty sure I even mentioned how Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score, that it didn't really stand out. It was one of those things where it just was like in the background. And I honestly don't know if maybe it was at the theater that I was experiencing this, because when I watched it on Blu-ray the couple times since, I've always recognized the score, and I always think that the score is very powerful, very moving, very emotional. So again, we all change. I always say that about film as an art form. Not only that it's subjective, but your views can change, and that was definitely the case with Waves. The Waves as a film itself, like, it went from good to great to a masterpiece. but the score also is how I felt. It went from like, oh, it's good, but it could be more memorable, to now I'm like, yeah, this score is great. I listen to it from time to time on its own, but again, in the film itself, it's so good. It really hits the feels. There are a lot of tracks where it's quite long, but it's very purposeful. So really like the score. If you've been sleeping on this film, which unfortunately many people have, I'd highly recommend watching the film, or at the very least, listen to the score. But yeah, Waves, my number 5. Next up, my number 4. This was one of my favorite films from last year, and it came out the same year as Queer, which is kind of cool. But it's a film I don't own on physical media yet because I have a feeling it's going to get a 4K release, so I'm holding out. My number 4, we have Challengers. Challengers is a fantastic score, and honestly, it's like the perfect score to work out to, which I have done before, and it's awesome. It's a really good score. I can't explain to you how shocked I was when, come Oscar time, it did not get nominated for Best Original Score. I suspect it might be that because he was up for Queer and Challengers, they might have canceled each other out, because that's the only way I can say to myself justifiably, yeah, that's why I didn't get nominated for the Oscar, because I was shocked. Like, seeing the Oscar announcement where it wasn't even announced that this was getting nominated for Best Original Score, I was shocked. It's a great score. Really good. It's bombastic when need be. It's emotional when need be. But more importantly, it fits the imagery on display like a glove. So, highly recommend listening to the score. Again, the score is perfect workout music, but it works even better in the film itself. And that's why I have it as my number 4. Next up, my number 3. I'm just going to say this right now. The next 3 is going to be the David Fincher show. My number 3, we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, fun fact, the original score, the extended album, it's actually longer than the film itself, I'm pretty sure. And I think that that's very interesting, because it seems like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, when they made this score, that they had a lot that they wanted to do. And it works, because it's a very ambitious score. Like, it's very ambient when need be. It's very dark. It's very, mystifying, atmospheric. It's just a very well-rounded score. But at the same time, it hits the emotional beats when need be. And it's also very fast-paced. Like, the film itself flies by. But that's also in large part because of the editing. And, of course, the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't win Best Original Score at the Oscars, because it's that great of a score. But who knows why it didn't get even. I don't even think it got nominated, unfortunately. But it's a great score. It's one of my favorites, and that's why I have it as my number 3. Next up, my number 2. I'm just going to say this right now. My number 1 and 2 I was going back and forth on, and I ultimately decided that they're interchangeable. They really are. Like, they are both 2 of my favorite scores of all time. But I ended up biting the bullet and saying this. This is my number 2. My number 2, we have Gone Girl. This score, I would say, might be what ultimately got me really into Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. My number 1 is what got me, like, mystified. Like, who are these 2 composers? But I think this is what solidified them as being some of my favorite composers of all time. Because Gone Girl's score is a lot like the characters. It is a lot of layers to this score, and I think that the more you peel it back, the more you're like, wow, this is an incredible score with the instruments that they used, the electronicness. It all works really well, especially with the characters' mindsets. Like, it does a great job of establishing the characters' mindsets in a way where you understand where they're coming from. And again, that's not just because of the acting or directing or editing. It's in large part because of the score. So it's a great score. Should have got nominated at the Oscars for Best Original Score, but alas, here we are. Still a great score, and Gone Girl, it's my number 2. Next up, my number 1, you probably guessed it. This is what first won them Best Original Score at the Oscars. My number 1 is The Social Network. I love The Social Network. I think it's a masterpiece. The score I like a tad more than Gone Girl. Again, going back and forth, these are 2 of my favorite scores of all time, but I think I like The Social Network score a little bit more, because while it is all those things, what Gone Girl is, where it is very layered, just like the characters, it's the fact that when you first hear The Social Network and you first hear the score come into it, like the sound mix, it's one of those things where it's iconic at this point, where it's like you can't help but you hear those keys play, and it's like, oh, that's The Social Network. That's awesome. And just the way that this score moves, it is honestly breathtaking. One of my favorite scores, like I said, and definitely deserved Best Original Score. I remember a decade plus ago, I thought that Inception should have won, but over the years, I've realized as much as I like the Inception score, The Social Network, I'm glad that it won Best Original Score. And, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, they did a great job with the score. And ultimately, that's why it's my number one. But yeah, guys, that's my top 10 favorite film scores from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross as of the filming of this video, which is June 28th of 2025. Let me know your thoughts, though, in terms of, what your ranking is going to be. I'm very curious to see what yours is going to be. Again, they don't do too many film scores, so if you want, you can just do a top 5. It really just depends on if you've seen, a lot of other film scores. But either way, let me know your top 5 or top 10 in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so already, be sure to follow me on Patreon, Letterboxd, subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.